Welcome everyone to Global Purpose Speaks. I'm your host, DJ Taz Rashid. I'm a musician who travels to mindful festivals and events all throughout the world. And one of my passions is to have conversations with transformational leaders, learn about their unique missions and how they're changing the world. This talk series is created in partnership with Global Purpose Movement, which is a collective of change makers convening and co-creating in our Earth's current shift towards a world that's working for everyone. And today we're chatting with Dr. Julie Krull, one of our founders of Good of the Whole platform. She's also a transformation leadership coach and a soul care practitioner. And just a little bit about her. On the leading edge of personal, social, and global transformation, Dr. Julie is making connections that inspire individuals and a collective awakening to our higher creative potential. Dr. Julie facilitates opportunities to bring spirit and consciousness more fully into life, relationships, vocation, and community. She's celebrated as a visionary leader, mentor, healer, and spiritual midwife. Recognized most for her authentic, down-to-earth approach, Dr. Julie assists to efficiently shift awareness from ego-centric challenges, conflict, and separation to a healthier, soul-centric flow of resonance, coherence, and unity. All right, Julie, how are you doing? It's good to see you.
Good,
It's been a while.
thanks. Yeah, good to see you. And that was a mouthful. So
It's a good mouthful.
yeah, that was a lot of stuff, but yeah.
Well, I also noticed that you got the blue memo. It looks like we have the exact same shade of blue, which is pretty
I
crazy.
think that's good. Yeah, look, that's my color. I love this color. Yeah, and yeah, I got artwork back
Oh
there
my
with
God,
the
that's
same
beautiful. Wow,
walls.
very
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, you said that is a mouthful, and like I feel that about our lives in general. Most of us are entrepreneurs, like on this kind of path, leading our spiritual, entrepreneurial, multi-passionate kind of lifestyle, as I kind of think of it. And most of our bios have so many different things that we're doing. But one thing, as I recall, one of your main projects is Good of the Whole platform, which is how I originally met you. I saw your website. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your work with that to get people understanding what you're currently working on, and then we'll go back into like what your path is and as well and how you got into all this. But why don't you tell us a little bit about Good of the Whole platform?
Okay, that'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, Good of the Whole really is a platform to do a couple different things. Number one, bring visionary leaders together and make their work visible in the world. There's so much going on. Just like we said, we're doing a plethora of things, right? And here we have all these visionary leaders who are doing really good things on the planet, and there's so much that's already working. There's so many amazing initiatives, organizations, individuals stepping up to really create that sustainable change on the planet and create that world that works for all, like you said, with the global purpose movement. So Good of the Whole, number one, becomes this centralized place where we can really celebrate what's working. Celebrate how...
Is a website, just for people that may not know. It's a website. Okay.
It's a website. Yes, there's the website. It's goodofthewhole.com. And so a big part of that platform is to really show how we're bringing higher consciousness into every aspect of life. Higher consciousness in education, healthcare, governance, politics, just everything, even sports. And so that's one piece of Good of the Whole. And there's so many layers and levels of things going on there. But the second piece that I think is really exciting is that it is also a repository of resources, tools, organizations, individuals. So literally there's a resource tab on there where you can go and you can find who's gathering, who's bringing people together, what's working. It's kind of like, I just spoke to visionary leaders last weekend and I said, if something's working over here and it's not working over here, these people can go over there and go, and find the people and find resources, find programs, just anything. So that's another exciting piece of it. But basically, Taz, it's for all of those visionary leaders who really understand our inherent unity and how we are stronger together, we're better as a collective whole, and that when I'm strong, the whole's strong. But when the whole's well, I'm well. I like to use the example of our body, our human body, that if we have all of these individual cells doing their own thing within the body, when each individual cell is healthy and it's in service of the whole then takes care of the individual cells. So, like, I might have an amazing heart with all these different cells, but if I'm only serving the heart, then I'm not getting oxygen from the lungs. I'm not feeding the cells. So it's really an important
organism together.
It's really about our collective self and our inherent unity. That there's so much when we're looking at serving the greater good.
So let's backtrack. So I wanted the audience to understand what you work on. Then let's backtrack a little bit about you. You know, you do a lot of things, as I was sharing. Like, but you're also you're a doctor. You know, you're a psychiatrist. Or I'm sure say psychologist, right?
Psychologist, yes.
Psychologist, and you work with like leaders one-on-one. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got into? I mean, were you always doing this? Can you tell us just a little bit about you and your path that got you to the point where you're at now? And, you know, what inspired you to say, like, create a website like Good of the Whole? And, like, so what led you into that path and into this project?
Oh, good question. Thanks, Taz. I love that question. You know, when I was a little girl, I had a near-death experience at a very young age, at the age of 4. And just began almost walking in two worlds, you know, communicating with the other realms, God, however you want to see that. And by the age of 11, I grew up in a really dark family system with a lot of shadow stuff happening, and you know, and it just was not a fun early childhood. And I also was really aware of what was going on in the world. And so I would have these conversations with God. And
how old were you at this time?
Well, you know, this is the most important one. At age 11, this is when everything shifted. At age 11, I was having my most important conversation with God, and I walked outside and I sat on the grass in this house, and I was saying, I don't get this. I don't get people. I don't get humans. I really don't want to be here. Can't I just go home? Look at all of this violence and yada, 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 and, you know, just abuse and trauma. And then look at the state of the world. And I was sitting there and I was just lamenting as an 11-year-old. I was pretty precocious. And I had
existential suffering, as to say. Like, what does all this mean? What is going on?
Yes, tell me. So anyway, I had this. And we don't have a lot of time for the whole description of it, but I had another very significant mystical out-of-body experience, left my body and just left the planet, and was just watching myself on the earth. And anyway, ended up out in space. I had this masculine elder T with me, and we were like holding the earth like a snow globe. You know, the snow globes where you shake, the glitter goes.
Yeah.
So we're holding, the earth is like hovering, and it felt like a snow globe. And I'm watching these movie film, this stuff going across with all the breakdown, humanity in separation mode, and greed and violence and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
And then it was just like this light came down and just ignited something. It's kind of like if you shake the snow globe up. And I just watched. The lights began to land on the earth and grow and really do the long story, but then they began to connect spontaneously. Then it began to weave. And I was watching a whole new story play out in space, and this movie reel out, you know, and it was like I was given my assignment. It's like, okay, you want to stay on Earth? Here's the contract. Here's what you'll be doing. And so I'm back in my body, and always had this vision of how do we weave the light? What does it look like to really heal the planet, and to work with individuals to really be that? Yeah. Also then begin to connect and then weave. And so I just knew that from a very young age.
What did you do right after you had that? I'm just curious, like when you had that experience. I mean, 11 years old, you were young, you know, like what was your next day? Okay, back to school and this, or were you like, okay, I'm going to study this? What was that? I got to talk with someone about it. What was your response?
I went back to my life, and as who I was, pretty precocious. It wasn't like I had a lot of people that I could go say, "Let me tell you some weird experiences that I had,"
Yeah.
So I just went back to life, and I just had this remembering. But I was 11 years old. I needed to go back to school and do that. So it always sat with me. I continued my conversations with that realm, with God as I saw it, and just continued to follow a path and ask questions. I was really lucky and fortunate because I was always guided like that. Like I would say, well, if I was going to marry someone someday, who would I marry? And it would be like, boom, there it would be, and a conversation of why it would be good. And so I just had that just guidance, which was really nice.
So how were you led to like say something like you do some Reiki too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So like things like Reiki, soul care, like what led, I mean, because you have an experience, a lot of people I hear, they have an experience, but they don't know fully what to make of it. They feel a connection, but then there's like all these worldly things that is like a world, of like metaphysical groups and churches and things like that. I remember from my experience, like I found a Kelly Howell book and I was like, oh my God, this book. But I had no idea there was a whole world of these conferences and gatherings. Like, how did you find that world, from your like given world? There's like this pop culture world, and then there's this other world that's going on. How did you come to that?
Yeah. So, when I had my first early childhood mystical experiences, and even into adulthood, we didn't have the internet. Mm-hmm. We didn't even have cell phones, right? So, like, how does that happen? I remember resisting. I went on to study psychology, counseling, got into that. Mm-hmm. Always a spiritual seeker. Always like studying more. I wanted to learn about consciousness and spirituality. I was always, searching, but I was in the middle of a rural place and pretty much isolated. But I remember resisting Facebook when it came along. Like, my daughter has 900 friends. She traveled around the world. How does anybody have 900 friends? I don't get it, And I gave in to Facebook. And as soon as I did, it was like I could see... I'm a seer anyway and a knower, and I could see Facebook in this multi-dimensional way. And it was really fascinating for me to see Facebook and social media in a multi-dimensional way. It's much like how I see the world and us in a multi-dimensional way. And so I began connecting with some people on Facebook, and then, went on a Facebook program, met a bunch of people, met a new woman. I ended up traveling around the United States, working with women, talking to women, doing that. And in that whole process, discover Barbara Marx Hubbard, find her work, and keep, all of a sudden it was just like the world
got... So the technology basically was like a catalyst to like it was like an exponential rather than like one step at a time. Kind of like, because I feel like I met things like one step at a time, even of the days of Facebook. Then, of course, there was like meetups and things, but like it sounds like it really escalated your process.
For me, it was a trajectory. Wow. You're in a big city. Yeah. I'm in a small town of less 3,000 people.
True.
So for me, it was like, wow, it's true. There are people out there. And then I could just see myself doing the work. And as soon as I did, Taz, it was like the work found me, the people found me, the resources found me. As soon as I just had a voice and a connection. So, it was beautiful.
So, okay, so you would say like you've been doing this kind of work for transformation in the last like 10 years?
Yeah.
Would you say? Okay, so in those 10 years, I also know that you have an amazing radio show, and you've spoken with so many like transformational leaders, visionaries, artists, all different paths since like 2013. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what would you say like right now? Like first, I want to talk about challenges and opportunities just a little bit. So what would you say? What are you hearing from all these conversations that you're having? Yes, there's a lot of positivity and there is a lot of good that's working. But what are you also hearing? What are some opportunities that leaders are coming across where there's ways to maybe collaborate and solve? Where are there opportunities like that from what you're seeing?
Well, I think one of the things when you say that, this is a little bit of a twist of that, but I think it's really important is that, again, I was with a whole new group of visionary leaders last weekend.
Yeah.
And I didn't know any of them except for my friend that invited me. And because of the isolation, people are waking up to this call and they're going, okay, I'm it. We got to do all this work on the planet. Boy, there's a lot of work to do. I don't know how it's going to be. And really, the opportunity is that people are not aware that this is happening everywhere.
Yeah.
There are.
It's not just in their little group. It's.
Yes, there's a convergence here. There's an organization here. There's a gathering here. People are coming together everywhere, all around the planet.
Yeah.
So, those next threads is really to begin to embody this work with confidence and really trusting that the universe is orchestrating the evolution. It's kind of like there's two worldviews, right, Taz? There's this, evolution has been shifting the planet for how many billions of years, and here we are, and we have always gone through evolution. So trust this divine intelligence, trust this higher source, trust whatever's orchestrating this. And then there's this worldview that says everything is breaking down. We are in massive trouble. Here's the environment, and this isn't sustainable. We got to hurry up and go, or else we're done, right? So we're really, as a species, holding both of those. And so when we're over here, there's tons of anxiety. And people are going, oh my gosh, well, what do? I can't do enough. And we got to wake up everybody, and we got to, and there's just so much pressure to think we have to do something and do it right now. And then there's those that are awake to it, thinking the whole world's asleep and we're the only ones, and we've got to wake them all up, shake them and get them awake. And then there's this consciousness that is about this inherent unity that's already there, this divine wisdom that's orchestrating, and we're watching synchronicities, we're relaxing, we're going, wow, look, this is really cool. There's good on the other side of this. Allow and trust. I heard Michael Beckwith speak last weekend, and he was talking about people who have moved from that victim place into these are his 4 stages. I'll just say the 3, but from dumb to, oh my gosh, there's laws to the universe. And when we work with the laws of the universe, things happen and we can manifest and we can change, to, oh, I get that there's laws. Now I need to work with it and allow and allow. So those 2 worldviews that I'm talking about, it's like if we can learn how to relax into it, then this can really support this in making the change.
I think I remember that. Like, things are happening to me, or things are happening through me, right? Things are happening as me. Like the 4 kingdoms. Are you talking about the kingdoms of consciousness? Of
Yeah.
I remember that from a while back.
For me or whatever.
I love those. Those still, I think about that regularly still.
Yeah.
Like, which quadrant am I in right now?
And when we're over here, we're in, so here's the healer in me, Taz, the psychologist, is with these 2 worldviews, if we're over here believing that we're not enough and we got to hurry and change and there's so much going on and we got to wake everybody up and we got to save the planet and ourselves. Well, number 1, we just got to save ourselves because the planet will save it. But here's this, and with that, there's fear, anxiety, constriction.
Heaviness. It's heavy.
Our mind narrows, our ability to step forward into our own call, is hampered because we're in this state of anxiety. So it's like we can do this when we learn how to breathe, relax, have that faith the universe has our back, and really, really settle into that, because people feel crazy when there's both going on at the same time. But these breakdowns...
You see it in the same organization sometimes, like
yes.
Even these transformational organizations, the same thing you're talking about. There's people like, oh my God, and there's like, hey, it's all good, and it's like...
And well, there's levels of consciousness. Richard Barrett's really good right now. He's got some really good stuff of identifying. He's pulled together Ken Wilber's and a lot of people's theories of consciousness and the different stages.
Richard Barrett?
Richard Barrett, with the Barrett values center. He's out of the UK. Fascinating stuff. Because even just like you said, within any institutional organization, there's all these levels going. And so it's really, how do we really empower this place of our own inherent wisdom and relax into the healing of our planet?
Yeah.
Because it's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. So what are some current projects that you're working on right now? Like, what's on your horizon? Because you have a lot of different projects. I know, like maybe what's something new, or what are you most excited about in 2017? Yeah, next year coming up.
Well, I'm working with some of those visionary leaders. The most exciting thing, besides really getting some fun and joy back into my life instead of being so focused, but we are going to do an official launch with Good of the Whole.
Oh, really?
And, yeah, it's going to be fun. We're gathering in 2 weeks, bringing in some of those really global voices, and we're calling it the Evolving Earth Expo. So it's going to have a lot of different pieces to it, from really helping us understand wholeness. What is the call to wholeness? And then looking at ourselves and really moving us into service, into that relaxed service, into that, that effective service. And so there'll be lots of different components that we hope to weave together into a really big, cool, fun event that we can all celebrate.
Do you have a plan, like the date and everything, or?
No, we're meeting in 2 weeks to get all of that finalized. So I'm looking forward to that.
That's amazing. And you mentioned the word service, and I personally have been really getting personally involved with events and projects that have to do with service. Whether it's like helping an orphanage or build a school or teaching, music or whatever with different groups and organizations. Like, when you speak about the idea of service, can you share with the audience, like, what do you exactly mean with that when it comes to this kind of transformation work? Is it service just to ourselves or to other groups? Like, how would you define that?
Well, I have a good way of defining it, because one of those other things that I have is a book coming out, and it's titled Fractured Grace. And I thought a lot about the service, and basically it's a shift. We all are doing beautiful community service, and some people are working right in their local neighborhoods. They're working and volunteering at the food pantry, or there's all kind of service. But I want us to switch our thinking about it and shift into that more global consciousness of, not that I have to go change the world or fix the world or serve, but think about how my gifts fit in service of the whole. See how different that is? It's like my gifts might be best in service of the whole in my local food pantry, and that's enough. And someone else's gift, they might be a visionary artist, and so they need to go really big and get a gorgeous show going in different places. Who knows what those gifts are? But the shift in our service is really thinking about our whole. How is it in service of the whole? Not in service of me or, something else. And then when we can do that, when we find ourselves in our gifts, and we really do honor who we are, like really honor that I do have a special gift to give. I caught myself, Michael Beckwith last weekend asked, what's your vision? What's your vision? And other people. And it was like, oh yeah, part of mine is to be a voice, right? To be a voice of this transformation on the planet, to be a voice of the healing, to be a voice for other visionary leaders, to really tell the story and tell a new kind of story. And it's like, okay, that's mine to do. And my sister looked at me and she's like, it's not mine to do, That's okay. Hers is different.
It's like a unique offering. Yeah.
Yes. So that's what I would say the most important part of the service is to match it with the needs of the whole.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's amazing. And what are some of the ways people can stay in touch with you? I mean, because you're doing some fascinating things. What are some of the best, either websites or maybe if you're on social media, why don't we share that with our folks here so we can keep in touch with you.
Great, thanks. Thank you for that opportunity. Yeah. My website is juliekrull.com, really simple, and then you sign up for my email list there. I'm really not good at email, and I'm going to be more disciplined about that.
Yeah.
I would rather like delete, and I'm trying to get better, about other people's email too. So my email list, I just took it down. I was in another summit, so I took the special offer down, so I'll put that back up there so people can find it easier. But JulieKrull.com's one way. I am on all the social media. Dr. Julie Krull on Twitter. It's probably Dr. Julie Krull on Facebook as well, or you can go to look up All Things Connected with Dr. Julie on Facebook. But the website has all those links, just right there.
And then go to the whole. It's just goodofthewhole.com, right?
Thewhole.com, yes. And there's links to that on my website too. Either way, but yeah.
Is there, I was going to ask, like, for Good of the Whole, is there anything particularly for that? I know you guys are having this grand opening, but is there any plans as far as the website layout or the way that's presented right now? Any kind of technological updates or any plans for that in the coming year or maybe next 2 years that people can look forward to?
Yeah, we are looking, there's so many really incredible initiatives that are working to help us better connect with one another. And so we're not techies, and even the volunteers that we've had so far, we're not into design and any of that programming stuff. But what I've been really guided to do is to not make it be this busy, crazy, salesy place where they're coming and they're hit and bombarded with, okay, do this, sign up here, do that. It's like if you look at most of the websites, it's like that. And so sometimes it doesn't appeal to the millennials, but sometimes the millennials will come on and go, I can breathe, So we really are trying to make it be a beautiful place that I can just come play around and explore. There is a membership site on there, so you could sign up and be a member.
Cool.
Really easy. You can have a free membership. You can have individual or an organizational membership. It's really simple. The only thing that a free membership does that's different than just going on the site is that you can interact and you can send and comment and and you can play with the content and the material there. So it's nice just to click in and you can do it really easy with Facebook or Twitter or email and interact and play with us.
That's great.
Then the volunteering part, we will have many organizations volunteer opportunities. We'll be putting out, here's ways that you can give, donate, volunteer, so we really want to be this repository for opportunities as well. Amazing.
Thank you so much, Julie, for coming onto the show today. I know you're super busy with so many amazing things going on, and we haven't spoken too much about this, but you have a beautiful radio show. So if whoever's listening, go check out Dr. Julie's radio show. See, she has so many great visionaries that are about to come on. I saw a lot of interesting characters that I know and follow myself. It's great to see that you're speaking with them. So thank you everyone for joining another episode of Global Purpose Speaks. I am your host, DJ Taz Rashid, and this talk series is created in partnership with Global Purpose Movement, which is a collective of change makers convening and co-creating in the global's current shift towards a world that's working for everyone. Join the conversation at globalpurposemovement.com, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thanks, Ted.
Yeah, thank you, Julie.
Mm-hmm.